dark world remember to be the light. Welcome to Black Swan Revelations. Here is your host, the Black Swan himself, Shane.
All right, welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about Romans 7. And Romans 7 may not be talking about what you think Romans 7 is talking about. We're going to dive into this. So let's just go over to Romans 7. What is the thing that Romans 7 is not about? I think when people come across Romans 7, the first thing that they talk about is it kind of looks like Paul was struggling with sin, and he's letting us know that as a Jew, because he was studying the law, that it was impossible for him to follow the law, so he just kind of gave in. I think this is how we approach Romans 7, saying that, well, if Paul can't do it, if Paul has weaknesses, if Paul succumbs to sin, then what do we have? How can we overcome? If one of the greatest people of the Bible struggles and can't master sin, then what hope do we have? And I think this is how people approach Romans 7. And my goal is to help you perhaps look at Romans 7 in a little bit of a different light, a little bit of a different lens, and hopefully this will help you in your walk with Christ as a Christian, and you can give people hope as to why becoming a Christian is actually one of the best decisions that you could ever make in your life. So let's just go into Romans 7. I'm just going to read some. Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law. So here's kind of a hint here is who is Paul speaking to? Obviously, it's the people that know the law, which back then would have been the Jews. How that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. He talks about this in other books of the Bible, including Ephesians. He talks about marriage and how a woman, if she's married to a man, if she dies, she's now free to marry another man. She's not obligated to maintain that marriage to that man because he's no longer around. So, and he dives into this a little bit. So in Romans, verse 2, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. Actually, I'm thinking about something else that Paul talked about in Ephesians, where he talks about Christ and the church. But Romans 7, this is exactly what I was just mentioning. It's actually found right here. 7:2, for the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So let's just talk about that briefly here. And I think if you skip over this, you're going to miss something very powerful, which Paul addresses a little bit later in Romans 7. So again, you have a married couple. The woman is married to a man. The man passes away. According to Paul, the woman is now free. And again, in society, this is the way it happens. She is free to marry another, whoever she wants. She is free as a bird. She's not obligated to that man because he is in the grave. It would be weird for her to approach the grave and sit by the grave and then ask her husband on advice, on tips, on what kind of a meal he would like for tonight, what she should go shopping for in a grocery store. Perhaps she's dealing with her kids, and she's just asking him at the grave and wondering and waiting what he's going to say. It would be weird because he's dead. He's passed away. There's no more obligation, you know, talking about bills, talking about future, where are we going to go on vacation, all this kind of stuff. It's it would be weird. It would be silly to do that. I'm not talking about mourning the loss of your husband. I'm talking about the idea that the person in the grave has a responsibility to you. You have a responsibility to the person in the grave. There is none. There is no responsibility. And I'm overemphasizing this because I'm going somewhere with this. Because if you think that I'm just going surface level and I'm just going shallow here, that Shane, this is so obvious that no one would go back to the grave and pretend that they're married and sleep by the grave and then wake up in the morning and go, I love you. Like, I think we would consider that kind of weird. One, you're out in the elements now. You're exposed to the elements, and this is not something that we do. We don't go back to the grave when we have a husband or wife that has passed away. Instead, you either decide to remain a widow or widower, or depending how young or old you are, you get married to another. And now you're obligated to do things with that person. So in this case, a woman goes out and she marries another husband, and she's not an adulteress because legally she's allowed to marry another because she has no husband. So she marries that person. They plan things together, and if they're young enough, they plan a family. They plan trips. Maybe they buy a home together, but they're doing everything together. There's not one time where she tells her husband that she now has, wait a second, I have to consult with my former husband who is in a graveyard. I have to go talk to him first to see if we can buy a home together or a car, or if I want uh switch careers, whatever it is. No, it would be weird because the new husband with the wife, they consult with one another. They decide where they want to live, what kind of a career, all this stuff. They want to buy a new home. They want to go to a vacation somewhere. They do that together. So I say all this because what happens is when we become a Christian, we go back to that grave. We go back to that dead body and we ask it for advice, for wisdom. We go, well, is it okay for me to go out and get drunk or to party hard or to hang out with the wrong crowd, whatever it is? Is that okay? We go back to the former way of life, which is in the grave, and we consult with it. It's weird. We are to ignore that way of life. Why? Because we've been forgiven 100% by Jesus Christ. So that old man is gone. He's in the grave. We are no longer married to that old man. We are free to marry whoever. And according to Paul, we should marry Christ. We are one with Christ now. So now, if you have things that you want to know, you consult with Christ via the Holy Spirit. You don't go back to your body because your body is dead. And I know this, again, this sounds basic, but we do this all the time. How do we do this? Well, one of the ways we do it is we make a promise to our dead body, and we say to our dead body, we will never sin again the rest of our life. We will never drink. We will never look lustfully onto a woman. We will never look at porn. We will never swear. We will never lose our cool. And all of a sudden, the body in the grave that was dead and buried starts to raise back up and starts to give you advice and counsel to take you out of the game. This is what your body tries to do. So it's dead and it's buried, but when you make vows that you know you can't keep, and bear with me here, hang on to this, really understand what I'm trying to say. When you make a vow, that causes the body that was dead to raise from the grave and start to treat you like it's your first husband all over again, telling you what to do, what not to do, all this kind of stuff, and making you feel guilty because you are actually married to another. When legally you have nothing to do with that body because it's dead. So what Paul was introducing in Romans 7, he's saying, look, there's basically two laws at work. There's the law of the spirit, and then there's the law of the flesh. We're dead to the flesh, meaning we don't have to entertain it anymore. We don't have to invite it over to our house. We don't have to go to the grave and talk to it. No, the flesh legally is buried. So ignore it. Ignore the flesh. Because the law and the goal of the flesh is to take you out of the game, of this world. Because it is a game when you think about it. It is a game, and it is a serious game of death or of life. So when you think about it as a Christian, it could be something simple, and I've shared this many times in my video. If you did something like for example, I have a daily devotion reading my Bible. I wake up, I have a block of time just out of habit, and I read the Bible every single morning. That's my habit. But what I noticed is if I promise to read a certain amount of chapters every day, I will fail. It's weird. I could say, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to either read the entire book of Romans, or I'm going to read 5 chapters out of the book of Romans, and I'm going to do this every day for the rest of the year. It won't happen. It won't happen. Something will come up. I will sleep in. It's weird how that happens. Or you miss it because you did something else, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to read 10 chapters instead of 5. And then you start punishing yourself because you didn't do what you said. So instead, what a Christian should try to the way that a Christian should position themselves is you should try to get to a point where you either say yes or no. That will save you a lot of grief. It's better to say no to something and then change your mind later and do it than to say yes to something and then not do it. That's worse because now you're looked at as a person that doesn't keep their word, person that lies, all this kind of stuff. So instead, it's easier. Like for me, for example, again, back to the word, I just say my goal is to just set a block of time, even if it's 30 seconds to read the Bible. My goal is just to read every day. That's it. So I have 24 hours. I can look at one page. I can look at reading 10 pages, whatever. I could even meditate on his word, one verse. Because time is now irrelevant. And I've actually freed myself, freed my spirit, because I know when I get up, I'm just going to read. But if I start putting obstacles in my way to make myself appear more with it, more righteous, more together, you're waking up your flesh now out of the grave. This is what Paul was talking about. The second I want to do something good, my flesh is right there wanting me to do something bad. And it's weird. It's there all the time. But then he realized that it's not him, it's the flesh in him. Because this is going to be our struggle till the day that we die. It doesn't get easier the older you are as a Christian, meaning you don't just miraculously overcome sin because you're older. Instead, you have to have patterns and you have to have habits in place to protect you from the flesh. And one of the things that I use to protect me from the flesh is I pretend I am deaf, as in I can't hear the flesh. And one of the easiest ways is not to make silly statements that raise the flesh from the dead. You just ignore it. Legally, you don't have to respond. Just picture yourself in court, and it is your turn to testify, and the judge asks you to stand and testify and tell your side of the story. Well, a person on the other side is a witness against everything that you've done in your life. That person, he or she stands up and starts talking. The judge does not recognize that person because it's not their turn. He didn't ask that person to speak. So then the judge will either remove that person or ask them to shut up. So I don't turn to that person in court and recognize them and say, Can can I speak? Can I speak? Or I'll let you finish and then I'll speak. No, because that's illegal. What that person did is illegal in a court. They spoke out of turn. So I'm listening to the judge. The judge is giving me time to speak, not the witness, not the false witness. It's not their turn. And in our scenario, the witness is dead to us. It never legally has a chance to speak into our lives the rest of our lives. So imagine being in court. You have the right to speak 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you don't have to worry about sitting down so that the false witness can stand up, which is your flesh. It has no legal obligation to say anything. Why? Because of what Christ did. Christ took our place on the cross legally. He died for us on the cross once and for all, nailed all of our iniquities, past, present, and future, to the cross. So now the flesh has nothing to say legally. So it has to sit there in silence in the grave. And you could rest. You can not say anything for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. The witness can't stand up and go, Your Honor, this person hasn't spoke for 3 hours, so I'm going to tell my side of the story. This person is a hypocrite. This person is a liar. This person sinned the other day. Look at this person. No, the judge doesn't recognize that witness until the judge says. And the judge has said that Jesus Christ has actually taken all of our sins upon him, past, present, future. So the case is over. It's closed. We're not arguing anymore. The judge laid down the hammer by nailing Jesus Christ to the cross. That sentence is over. So that witness has nothing to add. There's nothing new that the witness can bring. There's no new evidence that the witness can bring to light. It's silent now. So you can stand, you can tell your story, whatever, and the witness can't do anything. So as Christians, I think what happens is we start getting into the mentality that I've been in court for a day, meaning I just became a Christian for a day. I'm in court for a day, a week, a month, a year. I think I need to give my flesh a chance to speak. And that's not true. You could be in court for a year, a decade, 20 years, 30 years. Flesh doesn't get a chance to speak. There's nothing it can say anymore. The case is over. And I hope this makes sense because this is what Paul's saying. And I know this happens in Christianity. You trip and fall and you sin. And then somebody comes over. You think they're helping you to pick you up. And they're like, oh, I can't believe it, brother. I'm so confused right now because you said that you're a Christian and I can't believe you sinned. You fell and you confessed your sin to me and you said you committed a sin and you're asking me to forgive you. I'll forgive you, but oh man, I worry for you because I thought as a Christian, I thought you would never sin again. Like me, I never sin ever. So I'm disappointed in you. I can't believe you sin. Why did you sin? Like, don't you believe the word? Like, if you believe the word, you'd never sin again. I don't understand. This is going to throw off the rest of my week. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for confessing. But I'm not going to look at you the same way because I'm really disappointed. I thought you overcame porn. Because remember, you told me this 30 years ago that you overcame it when you were a kid. Remember? Remember when you said you're never going to look lustfully onto a woman 30 years ago? Remember you said that? Remember you said you're never going to swear? And I was driving with you in traffic and I heard you swear. And I'm so disappointed because I feel like you're a liar now because you said you'd never swear again. So I'm over exaggerating, but this is how Christians treat each other. They treat each other like this. Like, because you now have knowledge that you'll never trip, you'll never fall. And what I'm trying to share with you is there are tricks and tactics and rules that you have to maintain till the day that you die to protect yourself. And one of those things is don't make promises you can't keep because that wakes up the flesh. And the flesh now gets a chance to speak in court. And you don't want that. This is exactly what Paul's talking about. He's like, man, I love the Lord. I love the law. But the second I try and do it, flesh is right there pulling me in a different direction. It's because we're paying attention to the flesh. And Paul is giving us freedom to say, we don't have to Legally, we're under no obligation to the law because we are under the law of Christ. If we follow him and follow his commandments, the law can't touch us. Why? Because he fulfilled the law. So think about this. If you love your wife, love your spouse, your significant other, are you breaking a law? No. But if you hate your spouse, are you breaking one? Yes, you are. You're breaking the law. So if you're living in love, especially towards Christ, and you're reading his word, you're going to develop love for other people. And so in a case for, let's say, something against pornography or lust towards other women, an easy thing for a husband to do is to just say, you know what? I am focusing on getting to know my wife just a little bit better today than I did yesterday. Or I want to show her respect today more than yesterday. I want to appreciate my spouse a little bit more. And that's it. And that frees you right there, because what you're trying to do now is you're doing things that shows respect onto your spouse. And then same thing when you're loving on Christ, you are free from the law. Because again, if you're loving each other more than yourself and you love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your strength, all your might, and you put others above you, you are fulfilling all the commandments. Because you're not lusting unto your neighbor's wife. You're not lusting after their things. You're not murdering. You're not thinking about hate in your heart towards them. You're not in that realm because you're focusing on Christ. So let's just read one final thing in Romans 7. And I hope this helps. I hope this helps for you. Because again, you'll hear it for some reason. As soon as a person gets saved, another person is watching that person. They're on guard. It's weird. It's like they're like, man, it's like as soon as you get saved, it's like, man, you cannot mess up. You can't sin or whatever. But that's actually what causes you to mess up, is that burden. So instead, you take your burden to Christ and you go to him with everything. You have a thought in your head that's kind of questionable, you give it to Christ. Because it's not the thought that comes in that's sin, it's what you do with it. It's if you give it legs and feet and you start walking. That's where the problem is. So look at this. Let's see. Let's go down here. Let's go all the way down. Let's go all the way down to verse 14. For we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that I do not, but what I hate, that do I. If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then, it is no longer now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that is, in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For the will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would, I do not. And that's where people start going, see, Paul can't even do good. He wants to do good, but he can't. Not what Paul's saying. But the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more that I that do it, but it is the sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law. This is what he uncovered. He's like, this is interesting. I found a law, and this is a mystery. This is a secret. And once you get this, this is freedom. That when I would do good, evil is present with me. Isn't that interesting? For I delight in the law of the Lord after the inward man. But I see another law in my members warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. Two laws at work, law of the spirit, law of the flesh. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this death? I thank God through Jesus Christ, O Lord. So then, with the mind, I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh, the law of sin. So he's saying the flesh serves sin. The flesh, the law of sin. So I myself serve the law of God. My flesh cannot serve the law of God. It serves the law of sin. What does that mean? It means it cannot follow the laws of God. It will not submit. Never. Until when? Until you die. Until you give up the ghost. Until you die and you get buried. So you can't talk the flesh into obeying the law of God. It will not. In fact, it tries to take you out at the knees. This is what your flesh tries to do. So what is the answer? The answer is ignore it. Why? It's dead. It's buried. It would be illegal for you to go back to that dead body. This is why I talk about when in 1 Corinthians 15 about the resurrection. When you die, you go to heaven with a new heavenly body. People are like, no, we got to go back to that first body that we married. No, you're separate. You don't come back to this dust body anymore. That's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. You belong to Christ. That dust body belongs to the devil. Why? Because that goes all the way back to the curse of the serpent. All the days of his life, he is to eat from the belly, the dust of the earth. That's his steady diet. So don't go back to your flesh. Ignore it because it will not submit. In fact, what happens is, again, if you're like, man, I just love reading the Bible. I love reading. I could read it all day, all night. In fact, I'm going to go to church on Sunday. And all of a sudden your flesh goes up and goes, you don't have to go to church on Sunday. You could just watch YouTube. You don't need people. You could be okay by yourself in your home. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And you just ignore it. You ignore it. You become deaf to it. It's like you don't even have to respond to it. No, I'm going to go to church because I want to go to church. I want to fellowship with other like-minded believers, other Christians. Just ignore it because that's what happens. Your flesh is going to be contrary to everything that you want to do good. You wanted to do something good. And then a thought came in. You know what? This is a long weekend, so perhaps this is a time that you can go boating or go on a raft or go swimming or go hiking because you never get to hike on a Sunday and it's sunny and your flesh is doing all this stuff. And it's like, but I want to go to church. Are you saying that I shouldn't go to church? No, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to church. Don't go to church this Sunday. Go to church next Sunday. That's all I'm saying. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, that's not so bad. And then next Sunday comes up. I'm like getting out of bed. It's like, and then I'm thinking, I got to make it to church. And it's like, yay, you don't have to go to church this Sunday. We had so much fun hiking last Sunday. Why don't we do it again? Really? Yes, let's do it again. But I wanted to go to church this Sunday. Well, you can watch it online tonight. We can have fun. Really? Yes. So this is what happens. Just ignore it. Put it to bed. I'm telling you, the second you want to do something good, your flesh will rise up and want to tell you things that are contrary. Read anything else but the Bible. You don't have to read the Bible. You read a lot. Really? Yes. It's endless. I'm telling you. If you can get this in Romans 7, I'm telling you, this is freedom. Just ignore your flesh. It's buried in the grave. We are to be joined with Jesus Christ. We are to be married. We are the bride of Christ. We are to be married to Jesus Christ, and we are joined together with him for all eternity. This should give you hope. This should give you comfort. So that's it for today's video. I hope you got something out of this video. Appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you for sticking around for the last 36 minutes or so. Really appreciate you. If you guys want to purchase, I have a book available. It's called Rewriting God, The Silent War Against the King James Bible. You could use a QR code and just take a picture of this or use your camera, and you can go right to Amazon. You can purchase it on Amazon. It's available on hardcover. It's available on paperback. I actually have both copies. I have the hardcover. Love it. Love the hardcover. And you could also get it on Kindle as well. So actually, was it May 16th? Yeah. So it's like $5, $4.99 or something on Kindle. So pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. All right. So that's it for today's video. Hope you guys got something out of this. If you have, make sure and leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And I will see you in another video. Bye for now.
Black Swan Revelations here on YouTube brought you today's mind-bending journey. Dive into the discussion, your comments, questions, prayer requests, and powerful testimonies of Jesus' love are what fuel this community. Did today's episode hit home? Smash that like button. New here? Subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a live stream or a video upload. Thanks for being part of today's adventure. Catch you in the next video, or maybe even in the clouds. Stay curious, stay blessed.